Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Last night, just a disappointing finish to what's been a disappointing season. So many what ifs, so many what could have beens. The field goal against Georgia, the pick six right before the half against Alabama, losing to Oklahoma by 6 when you shot yourself in the foot. You turned the football over 3 times. There were so many key moments in this game that really could have flipped the overall season, flipped the overall perception of what Josh Heupel and his coaching staff, these players, what they did in 2025. But ifs, ands, and buts don't matter, right? 8-4 is a disappointment. You were 0-4 against ranked opponents. Your 8 wins, their combined record was 34-61. The bottom line is that's just not very good. And you cap it off by Vanderbilt walking onto your field, walking into Neyland Stadium, punching you in the mouth and embarrassing you on senior night, 45-24. Josh Heupel in the postgame was asked specifically about personnel changes, specifically about coaching changes. This is what Josh Heupel had to say. He said, the game just wrapped up a few seconds ago. It's my job to evaluate everything inside of our program. And you know, I told our players we had some disappointing results, but the second half was extremely disappointing. Coaches and players, not just one. Now he goes on to talk about personnel, possible changes being made. He said, we'll do it as an entire program, and I certainly will take a hard look at it all. Now, I know all eyes are on Tim Banks. Tim Banks coming off of a raise in the offseason, making $2.15 million per year through the 2027 season. Now, going into this game, you were tied for 84th in the country in scoring defense, 73rd in the country in total defense, 109th in the country in passing defense, 41st in rushing defense. That is just not good enough. Vanderbilt had 582 yards of total offense, 268 through the air, 314 on the ground. Diego Pavia outgained you as a team on his own. This defense was not very good today. They were not very good all year. Is it time to move on from Tim Banks? We're going to get into it all, but I need you guys to do the YouTube stuff for me. Smash the thumbs up down there below the video. It's quick, it's free, it's easy, it helps the channel. I would appreciate it. If it's your first time here, welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. We're not experts, we're not insiders, we're not media, we're not journalists. We don't fake that, we don't pretend to be that. What we are is exactly what you guys are. This channel is for the fans, by the fans. If you like it, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. You won't miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. We talk Tennessee football every single day of the year. We're about to go heavy into recruiting, transfer portal. We talk Tennessee football every single day, so get dialed in. We're going to be live tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to break down this entire 2025 season. We're going to talk about the hard things. Do changes need to be made? But let's get back to this Tennessee-Vanderbilt game. Again, just an ugly game. Nothing worse than somebody that talks trash, somebody that runs that mouth, and then they back it up, and that's exactly what Diego Pavia did. You know, this game for Tennessee, you started kind of slow on offense. You took a shot to Chris Brazzell early in the game. You had a little halfback screen. You come up short. You're going 3 and out to start the game. You punt the football. Vanderbilt takes over on their own 27, and they immediately start moving the football. They little end around for 7, a jet sweep for 19. Pavia connects to Richardson for 20, and that's this game in a nutshell. Vanderbilt on offense did whatever they wanted to do. The chunk plays, over and over and over, plays of 10-plus yards. Vanderbilt had 9 runs that went for over 10 yards. 7 of those went for 15 or more. Passes of 10-plus yards, they had 8. 7 of those went for 20 or more. Just chunk plays. It felt like Vanderbilt could do whatever they wanted to Tennessee, and they could do it whenever they wanted to do it. It was either they go down the field and they score, or they turn the football over, and that's what they did on that first drive. Even though they were moving the football, they get down there in the red zone. Idris Farouk picks off Diego Pavia. And what does Tennessee do, man? They play complimentary football. They start this thing off. They go 12 plays, 80 yards. They punch it in the end zone. They're getting Deshaun Bishop involved early. He had 6 carries for 42 yards, 2-yard touchdown on that drive. Joey Aguilar had a nice little keep on a speed option. Braylon Staley had 4 catches for 30 yards. Tennessee takes the lead 7-0. It feels like we got a little momentum there, got a little mojo. We're kind of cooking early in this game, and again, capitalizing off of the turnover. But that's kind of the story for the first half. Vanderbilt either went down the field, scored, or they turned the football over. They had 1 punt the entire night. One. You got one punt the entire night. Other than that, it was the two interceptions, or they went down the field and they got points. Of course, Idris Farouk had the interception there in the red zone. Ty Redmond had an interception in the second quarter when it's a tie football game, and you capitalized on that. You got 14 points off of turnovers. But for me, where this game changed, the turning point was the end of the first half and the start of the second half. The middle eight, I talk about it all the time on this channel, how crucial it is, how important that it is. Vanderbilt takes over with about 3 minutes to play in the first half, and they get off those chunk plays again. Runs of 17, 11, and 10. They're right down there to the 11-yard line. They got a minute to go. False start backs them up a little bit. Tennessee digs in there, right? They get the stop, but then you get called for roughing the passer on Jalen McMurray, and say what you want. It's not making excuses. It's not blaming the officials. That's a horrible call. That's a terrible call on Jalen McMurray, right? Diego Pavia jumps up in the air. Then you get flagged for hitting him in the helmet. You know, Coach Jay kind of spoke on this in the postgame show. If their quarterback's going to fake a throw and run and going to do things like that, then you got to let me hit him. I'm going to hit him because he is pretending to throw. I have to attack the quarterback in that situation. But Jalen McMurray makes a play, man. And that's a ticky-tack call. I don't care. It's not making excuses. That's the reality. And it completely shifted the momentum of this game. You went from forcing a field goal attempt to the very next play. Pavia connects with Trey Richardson, gets into the locker room, tied at 21. And then they come out in the second half and they march right down the field, 11 plays, 75 yards for a touchdown. Tennessee couldn't get a stop, only got to third down once. Vanderbilt takes the lead 28-21, and they never looked back. They scored on every drive in the second half. Tennessee on offense went punt, field goal, turnover on downs. You got flat whipped. And again, it's not making excuses talking about the officiating. It's not making excuses talking about that Jalen McMurray call for roughing the passer. That's a horrible call, but then Vanderbilt just flat whipped you. That's it. You got to give Vanderbilt their credit. You got to give Vanderbilt their due. Diego Pavia talked all that trash. Diego Pavia talked all that smack, and they walked into Neyland Stadium and they punched you in the mouth, and you had no answer. You did absolutely nothing in the second half. And again, it just caps off a disappointing season with a disappointing loss, an embarrassing loss. And I know you can talk about this from both sides. There are going to be people out there that say, we don't lose to Vanderbilt. Well, this ain't your mama and daddy's Vanderbilt. This SEC, this college football in 2025 isn't what it used to be. And that's not me defending 8-4. That's not me saying I'm okay with 8-4, because I'm not. And quite frankly, I'm to the point that I think at this point I've convinced myself it is time to make changes. It is time to move on. I want to see some new blood. I want to see some fresh blood. But again, I was having this conversation with JP. Those of you that have been around this channel for quite some time, you know who JP is. JP's ready to move on from Tim Banks. JP's been ready to move on from Tim Banks. JP is questioning Josh Heupel at this point. I said, I think it's going to take some time for people to understand that college football, SEC football in 2025 is different. And again, that's not saying that 8-4 is a good season. I'm not spinning that in any way, shape, or form, but it's what I'm telling you is parity in college football is real, and it's only going to get worse next year when we add a 9th conference game in the SEC. Brent Hubb said this on a Friday morning show with us. Gone are the days of a guy like Philip Fulmer coming in and dominating and winning 10 games every year. Gone are the long streaks like beating Vanderbilt for my entire childhood into adulthood. Gone are the days of these long streaks, because there is truly parity in college football. 10-2 is a great season in college football. 8-4, not so much. And what was this team? What were they missing in 2025? It was a team that was made up of a bunch of young guys. We've said the number around 50% of this roster is freshmen, and I think that's worth noting as well, right? When you look at this season, when you look at 2025, and again, it's not making excuses. It's talking about the reality of the situation that we faced in 2025. 50% of your roster was made up of freshmen. Well, why? It's on Josh Heupel to build this roster. That's right, it is. But we can also look at what Josh Heupel walked into. Let's go back to year one. Josh Heupel walks in to an NCAA investigation that hangs over his head for a couple of years. You're still dealing with some of that with who you can host on an official visit for that Vanderbilt game. Unofficial visits not allowed because of sanctions that came down from Jeremy Pruitt. We are still being impacted by that NCAA investigation, even though it's over. But for this talking point, what I'm saying is this team was missing seniors, juniors. They were missing those veteran guys on this football team. Yeah, you had some guys like Don Bailey. You had some guys like Bryson Eason. But you had a lot of freshmen on this team. Why? Again, go back to year one, NCAA investigation. It was hard for Josh Heupel to recruit those first 1, 2, 3 cycles, and that's what you're missing on this team. Now, the transfer portal helped you out a little bit there, and I saw a comment the other day that said Josh Heupel's awful in the transfer portal. He's terrible. Everybody just leaves. We don't retain anybody. That's blasphemy. You were able to retain Mike Matthews. Now, obviously, Boo Carter didn't work out. That's a guy that you retained. Arian Carter, nobody talks about him because his didn't play out in the public eye, but you retained Arian Carter. And then look at the guys that you added. Look at the offense alone. You went and got Joey Aguilar, Chris Brazel, Miles Kitzelman, 3 out of your 5 starters on the offensive line. You went and got in the transfer portal. Lance Hurd, Sam Pendleton, Wendell Moy Jr., Star Thomas at running back. You added a lot of guys in the portal to kind of help, take care of the fact that you had troubles recruiting early because of that NCAA investigation. Tennessee this offseason is going to have to attack the transfer portal hard again, especially on defense. The safety position you're going to have to attack. We'll see what happens at corner. Fully expect Jermod McCoy and also Colton Hood to be off to the NFL. You may have to attack the corner position. Ty Redmond's going to be pretty dang good for you. He looks good as a true freshman. Ricky Gibson should be back next year. I think he's going to be pretty good, but you're going to have to attack the secondary in the portal. I think you need to attack the defensive line in the transfer portal. But look at the offense. I think the offense has an opportunity to be really good in 2026, and that's a group that scored 40-plus points a game. You're in the top of the country in scoring offense. Does Joey Aguilar return? That's a question for 2026. He was asked specifically about it in the post-game show. Shout out to Austin Price for wording it a little bit different. He said, if you were granted that extra year of eligibility, would you come back? And again, he says, I guess we'll see. I'm not sure. But for me, 2026 is Josh Heupel at a crossroads. A lot of smoke. A lot of people are going to have Josh Heupel on the hot seat in 2026. Is that fair? Is it not fair? I don't know. I think Josh Heupel's done some special things since being here on Rocky Top, but 8-4 and a loss to Vanderbilt, an embarrassing loss to Vanderbilt, isn't acceptable. So what does Josh Heupel do with Tim Banks? Do you fire Tim Banks and start entirely new with a new scheme, new coaches, all going into a year where a lot of the fan base is going to have you on the hot seat? What does Coach Rodney Garner do? A lot of people not talking about that. Last I heard, Coach Garner had not signed his extension yet. Dealing with some family stuff. Not sure if he's going to be back to Tennessee or not. May need to move closer to home. And again, that's a family decision. That's a personal decision. It has nothing to do with Josh Heupel or Tim Banks or this defense. That's a personal issue that Rodney Garner is dealing with. But what's the move for Josh Heupel? Is it time to move on from Tim Banks? We're going to break it all down live tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. You guys be here. We will probably open it up to a fan call-in show. If you have strong opinions, you want to talk about firing Tim Banks, you're going to have an opportunity to do that tonight. So come on the show, bring a topic. We'll have a good time. We'll talk about it together. But a disappointing, embarrassing loss to Vanderbilt to send us out the door. Do me a favor. Right, wrong, or indifferent, you disagree, you agree, that's what this channel is all about, but you can help us out by hitting the thumbs up below the video. You can go check out our merchandise at bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. You can also support the channel by hitting the join button down below. It's only $1 a month. You get access to custom Talkin VAWLS emojis, the fan call-in show tonight. You can also support by joining our Patreon. We have an EA Sports College Football Patreon Dynasty. We have a game day chat that you can take part in over there. But all the ways to support us are in the description below. We don't survive without your support, so we are grateful for that. But that is going to do it for this one. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.